All right. So I'm actually gonna have Kate come over here, and I'm gonna get you because it's a little bit easier depending upon the person's face.
One that looks like Kate. Won't be mine.
All right. So things that you absolutely have to have for this are your pencil sharpener. That's super important. Put your phone down. Okay. You have to have your pencil sharpener and your brushes, okay? They're super important. You have to have them. What? Mm-hmm. All right. I'm gonna clean your feet. So, in doing this, so we're not doing the whole face, we're just doing sections. We're gonna break it down, okay? Another requirement that's not like what's inside of it, but you have to have at least 3 different sections of the face. And they should look good together, okay? That's important. Don't do one section and be like, I'm gonna do a whole other thing over here. And if I show up and somebody's done a damn aquarium in somebody's face again this time, I'm gonna scream.
Again this time?
Yeah. Because they didn't listen to a word I said and they had an aquarium. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Was it a good aquarium?
No. They tried to put Dory in it and looked like Nemo ate Dory. And that's where we were.
That's the PG-13 version.
Rated R. I never saw
Sarah,
my
do you
Dory.
recommend us getting early to start this?
You don't have to.
You think you can do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you practice, which you have to. So.
Yeah.
Well, see, here was the thing, was that I showed up, and then all of a sudden, they looked like Nemo and Dory, as opposed to before, there was an actual thing there. So I don't know what happened. A lot.
Hope you know you're just giving us ideas.
Don't. You will fail. I can guarantee it.
You're gonna like the way
So for the test applications, we're going to be doing it on our partners or so.
On your partner. So you all will have to schedule a time to get together. That's why this one's on a Thursday. You have the weekend. This is a problem. Where did this needle go? Needle. There it is.
Evil.
Promise I'm not gonna stab you with the needle. You're like, oh no. Please don't hurt me. I won't. I'm just trying to sharpen it. There we go. Now. Oh my god. This is why you get new pencils. Sharpening this one pencil. It'll be fine. I can do it without it if it comes down to it, but it works a lot easier. So, I blame you.
Believe it. That's fair.
No, it's a needle. It's a curved needle. Fish hook. A glorified fish hook. All right.
I was 7. I got a fish hook stuck in it.
I got one stuck in my eyelid. Okay, so now that it's sharp, so we're gonna start very lightly, and I'm just gonna mark out the section. So you can see there's a line here and around that way.
Are you using brown or black?
This is black. I'm just marking it out. I'm not like going in right now. And then I'm gonna go over here. And I'm gonna do that part. Okay. So we've got that marked out. What are you all over there going on about?
My eye doctor's leaving, so it's better if his mom could move the eye doctor because she lives in Alaska. And I said, damn it.
All right.
You asked.
So you all do have your brown pencils. So now that I've done the black part there, I'm gonna take my brown on a little brush. You can use your pencil for this part. It doesn't have to be this. And I'm gonna go in, and I'm just going in and filling out these lines. Actually, I'm gonna use that brush instead.
So you're filling in the dotted lines.
Yeah, yeah. Keep all your pencils out though, because you will use all of them. I don't know why this is dry.
Wait, this is brown or black?
This is brown.
How big areas do you do?
I mean, like I said, it should look good on the face, so you should probably do the whole face. Or like the majority of the face.
Is this just another variation of marking it out, or is this like the next step after you've already marked it?
I mean, I'm still marking it out, but this is the definitive, this is where I want this to go.
Okay.
So then, up here, so I've already marked out the like outline of that, right? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do a couple of pieces. Like that. And that'll make sense in a second. Okay, and turn your face towards me. And then we're gonna go ahead. That tickle? And we're gonna get like that. So that's what we have now. So it's outlined in the brown right now. And now we're gonna have a party.
Bring the chips.
Huh?
Bring the chips.
Oh, okay, good. So I want to do.
So would we be using, like, if we're doing this on our part,
Mm-hmm.
we use the makeup for whoever's getting on that face?
Yeah. So use their kits.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just using mine because it's here. So now I'm going to take my black pencil and very lightly I'm going to start to draw out the things that are going inside. Very light, okay? So we're going to talk about some basic drawing fundamentals. So if you want something to look like it's a circular object, you don't draw it as a circle. You draw it as an oval. So that's going to look like it's passing around round like, right? Okay. You'll see what in a minute, but just for right now, we're going to get that in there. Get another one in there. And so like at the bottom of this, so say that I wanted this part right there to end. I'm not going to end it with a straight line because ending it with a curve is going to help it round out fuller later, right? So keep those things in mind because those are important.
You mean like 3 mechanical pieces in each part, or like?
In general.
Okay, so I can do like 1 in each part.
theoretically, but it should be full.
Right.
So how I have these, I just have those pistons. They're not really pistons, but I have them in there right now, right? So then what I'm gonna do on top of that, or underneath it, I guess technically, is I'm gonna go in and just get some lines in between there. So real quick, I'm gonna pause on your face and come over here. Can you all see this section of the board, even with this up here? Okay. So if I have something like this, what I'm talking about with it being rounder is that if I were to shade this, it still looks flat, right? But if I were to shade this and go with the roundness that I have already created, it's going to start to look rounder, right? Okay. So then, behind everything, so let's say I have like multiple of these pieces, right? Can you also see everything? Okay, so let's say I have multiple of these. Behind it, I don't want it to just be blackness, okay? You don't want that whole darkness in there. You want to have more layers, right? So what you're going to do in there is you're going to do more lines. Those can be like muscles, tube, whatever you want them to be, right? So we're going to do those. But then over here, I'm not just going to, oh, there's another one. Because that's not how that works. If it's running behind it, it's going to run behind it. So I'm going to follow the continuation of this to where it would start there and keep it going. Okay? So you're going to do that behind those. Does that make sense? Okay. We're also going to talk about, real quick while I'm drawing over here, springs, just because they're easier for you to see bigger. So if you want like a spring or something, the easiest way to do that is going to be to do like this type of shape. Again, keeping your roundness in there. So it does like that, correct? Then underneath that,
Whoa.
and connecting into, and then you will shade.
Done that. That was.
I mean, I'm going to do that one in a second, but this is just so you can see it bigger. And that's how you do that, right? So you're basically doing an oval. Hold on. You're going to do another oval underneath that one. It's more like a rectangle with curved sides, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then this line's going to go up into there, and this line's going to come out of here. So theoretically, that's where that would go down, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Actually, do that one, and then that would go down there. They're really easy to do. It's like when you're doing braids. They look hard, but it's easy when you break it down. All right. So I've already got these lines started over here behind this. I'm going to continue those lines just like we talked about, going into over here, and then I'm going to add in between. All right, so that's what we have right now. Okay, so that's the markup for that piece. We're going to move on. Yeah, kind of. They like teeth pistons. Okay, so then over here, I'm going to do a gear. So same thing with the line continuing just the way it would otherwise. See how I have that circle? It doesn't stop. It's like the circle is going on underneath it, right? Okay, so we're going to do that. Then some gears do this and some gears don't. On the inside of that, there's going to be an indentation. So there's like usually like a lift up on there, right? So we're going to get that. Then we're going to mark these teeth of the gear in. Okay. And it may look flat right now. It's supposed to. We'll get to the 3D part in a second. Then I want there to be other gear that kind of feed into that. And that's going to close out that space. Just another. There we go. So that's that whole section. See, it doesn't take that long when you like just think about it. And since you should already have practiced it and should have already planned it out on your maps, you shouldn't have a problem. Then over here, I'm just gonna move your here. Okay, I'm gonna turn you, there we go. We're gonna do that same thing that we just did. Right? Getting those shapes in there. And then we're gonna mark in that. If this pencil's too rough on you, just let me know, okay? All right, and so we've got our spring in there, right? Okay. So then I'm gonna do like a tube there. And do some more muscle lines back here. And we'll get a couple right there. All right. So that's what that should look like at this point, right? We've just marked it in. We haven't done any detail work or anything. Yeah.
So are like all of your lines that are behind all of the mechanical pieces, are they all going in the same direction then?
They can be. They should go in the same direction. Like you can have like, if they're the same type of thing, then they should all go in the same direction. But if you have like another, like if you had like a different color tube, it could go in another direction.
Okay.
The face is just really small, so it's a little hard to do that stuff. But, so now that we have that, I'm gonna go in with my black. Let's hope that I have that. I'm gonna go in with my black that's on my lip wheel, this one, right? I'm gonna put it over here. There we go. We have all been educated. And I'm gonna put it on my brush. So you wanna get a brush that's smaller. One of your all's bin and eye brushes should be fine. The smaller one's probably the best. Then, first I'm going to go along the inside of that brown line that I had earlier. Okay. And I'm not gonna do it completely all the way, but just in some major like corner areas. Okay, so see how that's not all the way connected, but it's there, right? Yes, no, maybe. All right. Wake up, Tyler.
Like, I don't know.
Then I'm going to take another brush. You can do this with your sponge or with your finger, but it's just easier with a brush because you get a little bit more precision, or a Q-tip even. And then I'm going to go in here.
Not sure.
Are you just blending that black with the brown line?
Mm-hmm. I'm blending it to the inside of the area. See how it's going in? We'll deal with the outside in a second, but this is just for the inside part right now. And we'll go over this probably one more time. So it's not like the biggest deal if you don't get it right now, but it's just to help you get an idea of what you're doing. So this is going to help set that under the skin. So you want to think about it in layers. So this is your first layer, right? So you have your skin, then you have your first layer of shadow. Then your second layer is where all your pistons and stuff like that will be. Your third layer is where all the tubing behind all of that is located, okay? So you want to think about it like that. Like you're in Photoshop and you're laying them all together. So they all need their own shading. They all need their own highlights. That's important to keep in mind. So now that we've got most of that blended, like I said, I'm probably going to come back to it at the end. So it's not the end of the world right now. I'm going to go ahead, take the black back on there. And we're going to start from the back and work our way forward. So I'm just hitting those tubes that I had in there. Turn it all the way over there. There you go. I'm just hitting those tubes in there again so that they're a little bit darker. Then I'm going to take my blending brush that I have, and I'm just going to soften it a little bit. Because these ones are not super detailed. They don't matter a whole lot.
So those are like the muscles going behind.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to use the shadow that I've put on there to kind of, you can already see where it's kind of starting to blend into that line to the next part, right? So you're going to use that little bit of shade that you've got there and use that to help get the edges of it really dark. You want the center point to be the lightest part, like right there. I don't know how well you all can see that, but it's there. Can you see it? Can you see what I'm talking about?
Not really.
Okay, turn some more that way. So right in here and there and there. See where it's a little bit lighter? Okay. Okay, so we've got those spots. Then I'm going to go in directly on the lines of those pistons that I've got. And I'm going to get that shaded in there.
What was that thing you just barely did? You shadowed the piston?
Yeah, so I just put like right on the lines where I've already marked them out. On the back side where I've already done this shading, I just put a little bit more of the black on there to make that a little bit darker so that there's more shading on the behind part. Okay.
When I try this, everything's just gonna be black.
So that's why start small and you can always add more, okay? And don't be scared of it. Like, don't like, but don't be scared of it. Tyler, wake up. Do you need to stand up? Would that help you stay awake? Well, stand up. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing for the other tubes. And I'm just going in and solidifying them with more black. You look so enthused about your life right now. And then I'm going in. So you may want to clean off your blending brush every once in a while to kind of get rid of some of the black that's on there so you're not like just spreading it around and spreading it around. But a little bit staying on there is not a bad thing. And you also want to make sure that your shading and highlight for the same levels are all the same. So like you can see right now, so you can see that highlight in that one spot very prominently, right? Okay. I need somebody to answer me when I ask questions. I'm not asking myself questions.
So you're highlighting on the inside of the pistons?
So that's just for me blending out the black. I haven't done highlight yet.
Okay.
But you want it all to match. So you want to go through and do your shading and then do your highlight to match it all together.
I'm having a hard time seeing what piston is. Is it spaces in between the black? or-
Yeah, so the pistons are these.
Okay. Okay.
That's what those are. We're not there yet. We are just doing the tubing area. And that's okay if you lose it all because you can bring it back with your highlight, but I wouldn't use it as like a fail safe. Does that make sense? It's not going to fix your makeup. It may in fact make it look worse. But don't like freak out about it. It's okay. So now we've got all that stuff, right? Now we're going to go in. Where's the tiny bit of white that I had? There we go. The tiny little bit. I'm going to wipe my brush off. And then I'm going to get just a little bit on my blending brush. And this is just the white, right? Okay, good. And I'm going to go in.
You're highlighting the pistol drop?
I'm highlighting the tubing areas. We're still on that back layer. And so like you can see here, this white is really white compared to the whites that are back there, right?
What?
So the white in the front that I've got right there is super bright. Do you see it? Turn this way. Do you see it now? It's right there. No.
Okay.
If you need to come up here to look at it, you can. If you all want to sit closer, you can. I know this is like a detailed thing. And no one moves. All right. That's on you all.
Please don't take a part of the ever right here.
Oh yeah, that's all.
So what's the tubing around it?
The tubing?
That, yeah.
So the black stuff
Like-
is the pistons, and then the stuff in between is all tubing.
So the white, her skin color right now is the piston.
Yeah.
Oh.
The tubing is behind it. Does that make sense?
I guess I just don't know enough about machinery to know what its function is.
It doesn't have to have a function. We
No,
don't
I
care
just-
about function.
Like for me, like it helps to know what something is to know what it should look like. If that makes sense.
Piston is the
Well,
thing
that's why
in
you're
the
gonna do
car
your research.
that when
Of course you would.
was wondering. The engine puts air and gasoline into the chamber and lights it on fire with the spark plug, and the piston goes boom boom, and that's what makes your car turn.
And here we are. Now we're in mechanic class. Okay.
You watch the first Fast and Furious movie, they have a great example.
Wait, if you all want to get chairs and sit right there, you can sit right there. It's a little weird for you to stand here. Oh, so now you're gonna move.
Wait, try to go on the table.
Oh, lovely.
No, when you take, no, you just go closer.
It's okay.
Okay. All right. So now I'm just making this part match right here. And there we go. So like we're talking about with the colors, I have, where did he go? I dropped him down in there.
Do you recommend only using one?
I would say only use one because you're gonna get muddy if you use more than one.
So are you just highlighting with white?
Yeah, it's just white right now.
The clown white or the highlight?
The clown white.
Ah.
I said white, not highlight. I said that we're highlighting, but I said white.
The Utah Shakespeare Festival is apparently hiring a makeup artist right now for this summer.
I already have a job, but thank you.
Cool.
All right. So we've got these pistons, right? I'm gonna go in here with my green, and I'm gonna get that in there.
You said you were using white, not the highlight? Yes. But that's using green.
I guess so.
Yes.
I guess we're the only ones to use our eyes.
I can see.
All of us have glasses also.
I have contacts, but like. I also have contacts.
I have fake glasses. What's the point we're making here?
I also. Yeah, you have contacts too, though.
Glasses.
I did get glasses, but they weren't on you, so I was like, oh.
Oh, I can't see a thing,
Okay.
so we're good. So we've got those colored in with greens, right? Now, ooh, we did it.
Do they have to be green?
No, you have to use one color though. That's my color. I normally like blue with metals, but I don't have blue with me
A color in every section or just on the face?
on the face.
One cup.
Don't get too complicated.
Only one cup.
That's why I asked. I didn't want to get too complicated.
Okay, so like I showed you over here in our little diagram, when highlighting a round thing, this is what you do. This is round thing, correct? It is going to look like this from the top, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so when highlighting round thing, you find light source, right? Okay, so then this section of round thing will be highlighted, right?
Right.
Okay, this section will not be. So you decide which way your shadow is highlighting from. So like, let's say, since the light's coming from over here, I want everything to curve around that way. And you are going to do this
With the shadow.
with the shadow. Now, on the other side, where it is starting to go away from said round thing, you are going to also very lightly and very small do another line of shadow, okay? So that way you can show that it is rounding, correct?
Looks like a long stack of pancakes.
Ooh, God.
Then, with your highlight, you are going to pick one spot and you are going to highlight it, okay?
Should we actually make lines?
But the driver is fine.
I'm sorry if you've already said this, but
Yes.
are we shadowing with our actual shadow or are we shadowing with black?
But
Thank you.
this is all non-traditional, so don't think about it in a traditional sense. I'm gonna hit every literal thing back here until I get over here. Okay, so I'm going to go on this side with a little bit of black, and I'm gonna get that line of shadow in there. Okay, then a little bit on the other side. So now we have one strip of green in the center that's pure green, right? So I'm going to do that for all of them.
You just explain it.
You explained what it does, but not what it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Now it looks like a leg.
Oh.
Kind of like a meatball. Not a meatball.
a meatball.
Oh, that's one spicy meatball.
Okay,
I'm gonna put a meatball on mine.
A meatball.
space for cards. Michelle.
See, if you put it in Minecraft terms, then I get it.
If you put it in Minecraft.
Whatever.
Yeah, there's this.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so see how these are already rounding out? We're doing a thing.
Woo!
You can tell the difference between the ones that we have and have not touched. That's the important thing, right? We're doing it. Welcome to being artsy fartsy. Welcome to the rest of this class. You can do it. Even if you're bad, you can do it.
I can't do it, but
I'm
I'm going to
real
do it
bad.
anyway.
So you're highlighting and shadowing?
I'm just shadowing right now. I am only shadowing.
I'm so excited to turn myself into a lizard person.
That's a long ways off. All right. So now we have this, right? We're doing great. It's a good time.
So are you gonna highlight over the green?
Yes. So I'm going to take the green and I'm going to go in and do the inside section that we have not done yet first. And I'm going to use the black that's around this to kind of help me shade that out. And we're going to have another drawing lesson in a second. So, when something is shaped like a cone. Goodbye. They're going to walk in and be like, excuse me, what were you drawing? A lot. So, if this is our end of our little spaceship.
Well, when did we get a spaceship?
Our piston. You just look like you don't know. So that's what they look like, right? So, again, our light source is there, correct? Okay. So this one is going to shade like that because the smaller area then grows, correct? And a little bit like that, right? This one is the same thing, but in reverse. Okay? Okay? So then this area, where's you have the other mark? There we go. This area is our highlight. Highlight?
I'm not falling asleep while watching that one.
You look so squinty and sad. All right. So we're going to get all of our green in on this part. And then just for, coloring it in sake, I'm going to go ahead and color her gum area with green too. All right. Then I'm going to take my tiny brush with my black on it, and I'm going to go through and I'm separating all these. And I'm going to give it a little bit of roundness to that line just so that it reads a little bit smoother. Then I'm going to go in
Is that with brown or black?
black. And I'm just going to detail out some of these so that they're a little bit sharper. Now that I've blended it, it's a little soft. All right. Now here's where we're going to get real complex. Okay. So when doing a curve and doing a line for a curve, you don't want to fully connect the line because then that breaks the curve, right? It's going to make it look a lot more cartoony than realistic. So underneath this, where that would connect into there, and I'll show you in a second. very lightly. I'm going to get those lines in there. Yeah, it's just black. Just so that it has a little bit more definition into it. Then you can take your blending brush and we can just lightly fuzz that. And I haven't highlighted yet because I don't want to make it muddy with the highlight, right? So I'm going to lightly fuzz that out on here and any areas that are just too saturated. So. Okay, so that's what we have right now. Good? Good time. Okay. Now I'm going to take my white, wherever the tiniest little container of white went. There it is. It's just a tiny little bit. And then I'm just going to barely mark in
That we've done section.
a little bit. And see how that's brought that forward?
Oh, are you using white?
Yeah, I'm just using it a little bit to pop that out. And see how, like, I'm not even going to blend it in. I'm going to leave it because metal has that, like, one little strip, you know? So we're going to do that. Then, on the supposed gum line, I'll shoot a little bit more, but we're going to get just a little bit of that running in there. Okay? So we got that. That one little bit. So then, you know how I told you we were going to go back and do that outside section again? Guess what we're going to do? But I'm going to stick over the areas that have like the pistons and stuff. I'm not going to go over all of it again. Just the parts that need to be the deepest. Wow.
So do you want us to do, I guess that kind of depends on the part of the like, do you want us to do our test application just before we do it in class, or do you like could we meet and do it at the same time?
I don't care as
Does that
long as
not
it's
matter?
done
Just as
before
long as
class.
we get it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
You all can do it together because one of you is going to go on Tuesday and one of you is going to go on Thursday. So you can do it together and do them both at the same time, or one of you can test one day and one of you can test another day. It really doesn't matter. So
Yes, it
then,
was black.
black. I have not touched brown since the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
So then I'm going in and I'm just going to fuzz this out just a little bit more. All right, now here's the fun part. You ready? We're going to mess up the skin a little bit because, you know, not all the skin's perfect since we have ripped it open. And I'm just going to go in with my black.
Just roughing up the edges.
Yeah, I'm just giving the edges a little bit more of a shape. Like that. Okay? So now it's got a little bit more of a shape to it. Then I'm going to blend those back in with that. You want to keep your outer side of your black nice and sharp. All right, so that's what it should look like at this point. Now we're going to make the skin peel back.
Ew.
Okay? Ew is correct. So that's why you need this pencil, which is your lip pencil. Now, I'm going to go into the areas above and all the spots that have like these odd shapes to them. I'm going to do a little outline, like just a little like indentation, right? So that now we get like that. Okay? So it should be surrounded like that. Can everyone see that?
Oh,
You do not connect the lines because that's going to look weird. You break them up. Then I'm going to take my blending brush. It still has a little bit of black on it, but not a whole lot. You want to get a lot of it off. I'm going to put a little bit of brown, but again, not a whole lot, and then clean it off again. So that way you just have the minusculous amount of that, right? So like that, the top one, where there's just a little bit, barely enough. Then I'm going to go in. No, I'm blending out the red.
Okay, you're blending into.
I'm just blending it away from.
With the brown?
Mm-hmm.
And you're connecting the dot or
No, I'm not connecting them.
you're just going over the marks.
Mm-hmm. So that's what it should look like. Okay. So then we're going to take our brush that had our black on it, and just in the center points of those lines, we're going to put little dots. And those are where the lines should be the deepest opening, right? Then, taking the same brush that we had earlier, not putting anything else on it, nope, this is just the black. I'm blending the black out. Yeah, I just put a little dot on there, and now I'm blending the dot out.
But you're blending out the brown brush.
Yeah, it shouldn't have anything left on it. And I'm going to blend that out pretty well. So that we don't have lines anymore. There's just shading. Okay. Now, that should be it for that one, right? Then we can move on.
So that's the final one.
Yeah. For that one.
I thought you meant you wanted it to look like those videos you typed in, so I was like, I'm gonna fail this assignment.
I mean, I do, but as much as you can do with makeup with limited resources. Really fancy tattoos, you have tiny, tiny little, you know, yeah. And this is also on the face, so it's a little bit harder than an arm. So, I'm going to show you how to do these skin rips real quick.
Skin rips?
Skin rips. Turn your face. I'm going to do your forehead. Okay. I was going to do it over here, but I want to do forehead. So, imagine that we've done the whole inside, right? Imagine that the whole gear is filled in. You want one part of your skin rip to be thinner as though there's tension. So see how that one part is really thin right there, and then the rest of it kind of widens out? That's what you want for that area. You're like, this is what I've always wanted to look like, Mom. Thank you. Ryan's over here and gets drag makeup, and here I am.
So which part's the thin part, which part's the thick part?
So the thin part is down here. See it? So the thin part is here. The thick part is out here. So it does like a this thing. It angles.
Like an hourglass.
So like a thick part, thin part. Does that make sense?
And then it gets thick again, right?
Yeah. So like this is the bottom where it's connecting back. So it should get thicker here.
I'm really confused.
So
You mean where you're not in the makeup?
yes, I'm talking about the negative space of her skin
Yeah.
should have a thin part and then widen out into a
Oh.
larger area.
Okay.
Like how this right here is really thin, and then widens to here.
So it looks like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just gonna block out the rest of this. Goodbye. There we go. Okay. So that's where we're at right now, right? Yes? No? Maybe? Good? All right. Can't get y'all to stop talking when I don't want you to, but then when I want you to talk to me, no one says a word.
I'm being ghosted by a class.
Well, I hope you're ready for your grades to ghost on you too.
Wow.
It already goes to us on our grades. Can they do them lying?
And then just don't do them.
And it's just a, yeah. So you have no threats. Just kidding. You have
You've already used your threats.
I mean, I'm not
Threat
threatening.
cards
I'm
right
just
there.
telling you what could happen if you don't do your stuff. So do your homework, guys.
We'll try.
I don't want to fail you. But
Can't do it. It's a nice grade you got there. It would be a shame if something happened to it.
oh gosh. But you gotta say it in like your best gangster voice. Like the old
You know,
mobsters.
that's kind of what I said in my head when I saw a girl texting and while she was driving.
Ooh. Okay. So then when you do these, you have to think that everything is going in that direction. Everything is going to be smaller and then widen, correct? So then your red spots and your dark spots that you have on the outside of the skin are going to do the same thing. Look at that. And then so they're going to kind of pucker. So we want to get that V in there. See how that V is there?
Yes.
And then we've got those two areas up there. So that whole area is pulled really nice and taut, right? Then down here, the same thing is going to happen. So if we were over here, imagine this is the same thing happening because that's what it is, right? We've got that widen and that going down.
Yeah.
We're going to do the same thing over here, right? Okay. So then what are you going to do?
Right.
Use the brown.
Right. You're going to use your brush that has very little brown on it still. And you're going to blend. There were a lot of mixed answers to that. I know I told you all to talk, but I don't know if I like that.
All right, everyone go back to
Can't
doing
make
this.
a wish.
And now I'm just kind of smudging it out.
Away from.
Yeah. You want to go away from the spot. So you should have a part of the skin in between your dark spot and in between. In between the skin. There's a lot happening. So you should have, see how there's this spot of the skin in between the like shading and in between the opening where there's like a highlight of skin right there. That's what you want. Yeah, you want that raisiness because you're showing the tension. You're showing what's happening inside. Y'all, one of these days I'm gonna leave.
Oh no.
Please don't. Yeah. No one will be able to do makeup ever.
Well,
Well, lost.
so then there's one more part that you have to add to this. So you've got that and you've got your black like what we did here. So then with the same part, it's easier if you do the whole thing. So like if you're doing all of the back layer, do it for all the pieces. If you're doing the whole middle layer, you do it for all the pieces. You're doing the whole top layer and the outer layers, you do them all together. So that way you do the whole face all at once.
When you're doing top layers, do you want to leave them like essentially like don't put anything behind them because that's a cream take up the cream? Does that make any sense?
Wow. What?
You don't want to layer it, right? Like
I don't want you
layer
to
the cream.
like
Like you wouldn't put a black base. I'm trying to understand what you're doing up in like this part.
Oh, I was just blocking it out so you could see the skin.
Okay.
That's all I was
I thought there
doing.
was gonna be a gear like on top.
I mean,
of that.
you can. I mean, I'll show you how to do that, but
Doesn't it take away?
it is hard to get it back lighter after you've gone
Which is to powder
super
it,
dark.
then put like white over
But then you run the risk of it not blending.
it, right?
Like,
So that's
fine.
where it's like,
So just
eh.
don't do that.
So then I'm gonna take my brush that I've been using to blend everything. I'm gonna get a little bit of brown on it. Oh my goodness. Okay. And I'm just gonna go along this edge with the black, right? And I'm gonna barely soften. We're hopping back over here. I'm gonna barely soften that with the brown. So what that's gonna do is give the illusion that the skin is kind of folding under and like doing different things on that edge, okay? So you would do that to all your edges as the very last final step.
Are there shows that are like this?
Shows?
Yeah, like
So yes and no.
okay.
But this teaches you good shading stuff
Yeah.
and teaches you how to like
Yeah.
alter the face to fit things.
Mhm.
But also, there's like, I don't know if you all know who Steam Powered Giraffe is, but they do stuff like this.
What?
Steam Powered Giraffe. Do you know who that is? I'll show you in a second. So you would do stuff like this, and then so let's talk about the lightness stuff, and then I'll show you what I'm talking
Oh
about.
my god, that's
Where did you go?
not like
Oh, it's right here. It's like literally empty, so it's hard for
oh
me
my
to see it.
gosh.
So I'm gonna take a little bit of this white, and let's say I want to do just a bare gear in here. So I'm just taking the white, doing it in like a round shape. And so we'd get like that. And then I'm going to highlight its outer edge here. This is not as clean and precise as I want you all to get, but it is a way to do this. And then you'd mark out like one edge of your teeth. So like you can do this, but it's just not as efficient. And then I'd go back with the black. And you can really start to get that shape in there. But it's just not as efficient as otherwise. Like if you were doing something like just barely there, that's a good way to do it. Like the pipes and stuff like that, you can probably get away with that. But, all right. Yes.
For our test application board, should we go grab colors?
Yeah, you all can go down there and grab a color. Just make sure it ends up back in there. But I'm going to show you real quick. Let me end this.